Groups have changed in Godot 4.3. In this video, we will cover what groups are, how they have changed, the impact on your current project, as well as how to use groups now that they have changed, including something very important to watch out for. So, what are groups? You might be familiar with groups being Godot's tagging option that applies to all scenes across your game. Specifically, this means that you can tag a specific node to be part of a group. Fundamentally, this hasn't changed, and that still allows you to get a list of all nodes within a group, call a method on all nodes within a group, and similar for notifications. It can be very useful for categorizing entities across your game in a decoupled way, and for organizing large projects in a way that still allows you to make good progress. And it's definitely a useful tool to have in your skill set. So groups have now changed in the sense that they have an organizational distinction that is visible in the UI. Specifically, they've been split into scene groups and global groups. So you can see here we have groups in the old editor, which has manage groups and then the groups that I've assigned. Whereas in the new editor, we have scene groups and global groups, but no option to manage groups directly. Scene groups are fundamentally what you'll be used to from the previous versions of Godot. So they are simple tags against your nodes. So what are global groups? So effectively, global groups are groups that can be seen across your project and are not limited by scene. So it makes it really easy to assign nodes against these global groups. They're effectively a good thing to use when you know you're going to use this group across multiple scenes and across different parts of your project, as it makes it easier to correctly assign a node against a given group without having to double check spelling against what you called it previously, etc. So what does this mean for your current project? The good news is very little. Any groups that you already had will now be available in scene groups, exactly the way as they were before. So you can continue to use them in exactly the same way if you desire. We now also have the option of using global groups to make things easier for your wider reaching groups. In order to add a global group, you can go to Project, Project Settings, Globals, and then Groups. This allows you to create a group and give it a description. So, for example, I might put waypoints and call it important locations. I can then press Add, and you can then see that this now appears in my global groups. And any node that I go to will have global groups as an option, including if I go to a completely different scene. If I click on it, I can see my global groups have remained there. And it just makes it easier to assign nodes against these groups. An additional little tip that you can use is you can right-click on a scene group or global group and convert it between the two. Again, it just makes it easier to migrate from an old project to this newer system to use global groups if desired. And obviously, you can also then edit them from the project settings if you desire. This brings us neatly into what to watch out for. So fundamentally, global groups and scene groups are the same thing under the hood. The changes that we have are purely a UI distinction, which means that if you add a player to an enemy group that's a scene group, they're also being added to the equivalent of the global group. It's important to be aware that they are the same thing to avoid any confusion about how to use groups within your code and how to actually interact with them as part of your architecture. That's it on the changes to groups in Godot 4.3. In this video, we covered what groups are, how they change, and how you can use them going forward. If you have any questions on anything I didn't cover, please drop a question in the comments and I'll respond. Remember to like and subscribe so that the video can reach and help more aspiring game developers. See you next time.